housing and mobility, can they really be separated? Probably not. Yina, you bring a very interesting perspective as the former mayor of Princeton, and we're here at Princeton at the Smart Driving Car Summit. Why don't you give us some of your thoughts on what you've heard the last couple of days, particularly as how it relates to mobility and housing?
Well, one of the challenges is that so much of the affordable housing has really been moved to the hinterlands, the lesser priced land, and with that there haven't really been services. Not only has there not been transportation, but people can't even get to the grocery store or get other essentials. There's nothing nearby. It's just a housing complex. And that's in part the way a lot of the suburbs have developed, even those of greater means. And so we have to really look at how people are moving around. We had a big controversy at one point when our library, public library, was going to rebuild, and it sort of had to build some satellites to keep people engaged and serviced on the library level. And one ended up down at the shopping center, which was highly accessible for automobiles. And of course, a lot of people didn't want that to go away. But the reality was that the library was, downtown. Getting to these facilities without a car is really important because our downtown could not really accept all of the vehicles. So it's not just about car ownership or individual car ownership, it's also about congestion and livability and quality of life of the centers that many people want to travel to. And I'm talking about people who live in town, but of course our town tends to also be visited by tourists, hundreds of thousands of people every year. And we have to look at ways where people can move around efficiently. So on-demand services, driverless vehicles would be great. I don't know that the technology would push that because we need it regardless, even if there is a driver. But certainly the driverless option would, which we discussed here at the conference, is intriguing because a lot of the costs for operation is the driver aspect of it. My grandfather migrated to Princeton at the age of 12 in 1896, and he started a livery business with a horse and buggy, moving people around town. Now, I don't think anybody's going to want to take that, so thank God technologies have changed. That's when roads were dirt roads. We do have to graduate to higher technologies to bring us to greater efficiency. So I think it tends to be an option that can serve many people, but in particular people who don't have access to services or to funds that would create their own independent mobility.
And we saw that through the conference. It affects people of all ages, abilities, and so forth. How do you see it impacting land use in the future?
Well, that's going to be an interesting sort of effect of mobility. I've always said it's really access in terms of the three rules of real estate. The location is only enhanced by the access. You can buy $1 million island, which is not a lot of money when we're talking about, the cost of real estate around here, because you can't get to the island. You find a place that is highly accessible. $1 million is just getting you an efficiency apartment. So it really will have an effect on pricing. And this is where we're really going to have a challenge because the centers of town have always been at max value. We're going to begin to see that now further out from the center, those values can now come up, they will be coming up to par. Is that a good thing, a bad thing, or will there be some averaging? That may, in fact, help. It's an odd sort of dynamic also in that we're seeing sort of a resurgence of cities in development, and suburbs are finding themselves needing to be more like cities. Whether we're going to encourage more sort of sprawl, and that has been something that the state of New Jersey really has had to grapple with. And so how those hinterlands, as I called them before, develop or continue to be enhanced for the benefit of all may mean that we do get a grocery store where there used to be none. And then we'll have a different kind of need for transportation, maybe not as much as before. So it's going to be interesting to see the impacts. There's an ebb and flow, and I think the best, of course, would be that we do more walking, we use fewer vehicles, and we also, reduce congestion, and it is an improvement of our quality of life. And that's independent of whether the automobile or the truck is powered by CNG or diesel, or even if it's electric, because it has to do with the population of vehicles against people. So we've got a lot of things to think about. What we're talking about is an autonomous today as a vehicle that's driving itself will be something different, 10 or 15 years from now, where maybe we're going to be autonomous. We're not going to be driving it, but we may be on a guided road system where we're actually just getting in a queue and all the cars are going to be going the same speed. If you enjoy driving, maybe you'll have to go someplace else to do that. But I think driving and mobility is going to change in that regard. And what autonomous means is going to, I think, shift.
Well, it's another reason to come back here for the 4th annual summit next year.
Yes.
And it's an opportunity to walk the lovely streets here of Princeton. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Welcome.